Hey, this is Frank Nieto with Vision Quest Auto. Today, we're going to be reviewing the brand new 2025 Honda Pilot Black Edition. The Black Edition, as you can see, this is actually red, very red, but the Black Edition stands out for being the Pilot's brand new top-of-the-line version. It jumps ahead of the Elite, which had previously been the top-of-the-line model. This version adds a lot of new styling cues, both to the interior and exterior. We'll talk about that as we go around in our review here. But really, what we're going to be doing today is taking this for a ride. We're going to talk about how this drives, how it feels, how it compares to other models, other three-row mid-size SUVs. In class, we're going to take it through our rankings, some of the categories we do here in Vision Quest Auto, and let's get to it. All right, as you can tell, the first thing that stands out with the Black Edition of the Pilot is the words Black Edition, at least from the grill here. You can see them big time right there. Black Edition, massive Honda logo. Honestly, some people kind of like the huge grills, some people don't. I wasn't the biggest fan. They're kind of growing on me. This one actually really does. I like it. It's right on the edge of being over the top. Maybe, you know, being too big. I shouldn't say over the top. It's on the edge of being maybe too big, but it kind of hits that just right aspect for me. Biggest part that you'll notice with the Black Edition, at least from the exterior, are of course those blacked out wheels. You know, very attractive. I think that if you're looking for a blacked out version, you know what you're getting here. So same thing with these, you know, this is all. The side view mirrors are capped out in black. So again, you know, your roof rack black. And then you come back here and Pilot is blacked out as well on the hatch. One thing I do like about this blacked out version is how it contrasts really well with this red. I think that all-wheel drive, you know, AWD and the Black Edition with the scripting there look really nice. And again, Pilot blacked out is kind of cool. I would at least like, just me, I would like the option to have this blacked out as well, that Honda badge blacked out. I think that would look kind of cool. I like the way that like Ram does their blacked out and Chevy does their blacked out. I wouldn't mind just having it fully blacked out if you're gonna do it. But again, you know, not the end of the world. So inside, one thing that Honda does, the difference here is it's got, you know, again, some more of this blacked out. The big part though that Honda said as far as this going is this is the top of the line. So it's all leather interior. But the really big part about this is one, you'll see the Black Edition scripting right there on the headrests in the front seats. It's also got this red stitching. And if you see here in this perforation, you'll see the red contrast in there, which is pretty cool looking actually. I like that. You see the, you know, stitching is kind of all throughout. It's on the steering wheel as well. This isn't too much more than the Elite. This starts at 55. This particular model is 58,000. You know, it's obviously expensive. That's not a chump change, but it's also nowadays, unfortunately, just the way that the industry and the economy is, you know, 58,000 is almost, again, getting into that bargain area for three-row SUVs. The second row here is pretty big, and they do a good job back here. You know, you've got your heated seats. You don't have cooled seats, cooled rear seats, but they're your climate controls. You have two USB-C ports, and you've got your power household style outlet right there. There are those sunshades for the second row, which are always nice to have. The cup holder situation is a little funky. I'm going to show you that here. You have this third seat, you know, this third seat, and then you pull that down and you've got that. So two things about this. One is that it is kind of nice that it's not just cup holders, but it's actually got some cargo, you know, area, you know, just to be able to put their devices, you know, the second row passengers can put their devices back there. Gives them a little bit more of an armrest, and it kind of gives them that separation. So if your kids are in the second row next to each other, Mom and dad at least can get a little bit of separation between them. So that's kind of nice, but I don't know. I always like when you can pull this down and not have to drop the seat entirely. So with this third row up, I think it's got a pretty good amount of space here. But it's not outstanding. You do get a little bit more down there, which is nice. You got a pretty decent amount of space down there, actually. Obviously, you get even more when you knock these down. With that down, you can fit a ton of stuff back here. You drop those second row down and you got a lot of space. But again, you're looking at space for people or space for cargo, not really space for people and cargo. That's not how much this does. It can have space for people and cargo if you're just using the second row. But if you're looking to have 7 people and all their cargo, you're going to have a trailer or use the roof rack or something, because you're not going to fit it all in here really. If you're going on a trip, if you're just going, to a game or whatever, yeah, sure, this is perfect for that. But you're not going to get both. All digital display. It's nice. I can't really say that there's anything terrible when you get to the interior of this car. This is the top of the line version though, and that's where you get a little bit of things. So very comfortable leather. This has got a rubberized kind of soft tactile feel. It's got like a fake leather feel. This has got that leather there, plastic, fake carbon fiber. Nothing looks bad. Nothing looks bad, but this is the top of the line Honda Pilot, and you're jumping ahead of something called the Elite. I just want to set people's expectations up that, again, remember, this is a utilitarian vehicle. That's what Hondas are. This is not a near Lexus or a near Land Rover or a Range Rover vehicle. This is a very nice top of the line version of a family vehicle. And with that, you have all the features you want. You've got a 360 camera. I'll show you that here. 360 camera, very nice. It looks great. Good resolution there. The screen's got good resolution. I like these tactile buttons. That's great. Thank you very much, Honda. You've got heated and cooled seats. You got tri-zone settings. You've got a USB-C, USB-A. Great wireless chargers. It's really nice. I like that it's got the power button there. It's got a tactile feel. Little cubby here. Really nice stuff here. The stitching looks good. One thing I want to note though is, again, you've got a lot of plastics and stuff, and a Bose stereo system looks great. Again, great, pretty big sunroof here. That's great. But if you're expecting a near Lexus kind of thing or top of the line model here, lower your expectations. This is, again, a top of the line Honda, and when you think of it in that way, it's very good. These seats are very comfortable. They do everything right, but just because it was called Elite and this is Black Edition, this isn't at that level. Remember the price range you're paying. Remember what you're getting with this car is you're getting most of the features that you'd want and expect from a Honda, but you are not going to be getting a Lexus, okay? That's or a Range Rover or a Grand Wagoneer or any of these kind of things. Just set your expectations in certain ways, and I think most people would. But I want to state that. With that in mind, first categories here are the Fat Guy in a Little Coat award winner is for this infotainment system, infotainment screen. To be honest, it's on the smaller side. Again, I think the resolution's really good. I think that, the resolution's good. I think the tactile buttons are great. The sound system's really good. But, and it has the Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, everything in there. But it's smaller. For a family vehicle, a top-of-the-line family vehicle, I just feel like you need to have a larger infotainment screen. Most of these vehicles are you know, you're looking at vehicles at similar prices, even less, that have longer and taller infotainment screens. You know, I know that that would change the design for this Pilot to bring it down. I know that that would change it, and I know that that's why Honda didn't do that. But I feel like they could have lengthened this. That's a pretty simple thing. You know, it's not the biggest deal, but it is a knock. It's a legitimate knock. Okay. Second award, and this is, again, you know, knock here, is the John Cena You Can't See Me Award. And for this, the John Cena You Can't See Me Award is for lack of a shifter. People say this is a shifter. It's a buttons. It's buttons. It's operating a computer, you know, which is fine. I don't hate it. I've gotten used to it, but it's not a shifter. I do prefer shifters, and I know that you get more space. You know, you're not worried about bumping into things, but I've always said, you know, you can still put the shifter right here. I'd rather have that. You can also put the shifter up here the way that they used to do with the Odyssey. You know, like, I don't mind that. They've also had it for the CR-V back in the day. Buttons thing is just, it's fine. It's fine, but it's never going to be great to me. So there it is. All that said, I think this is a very solid car. Like, I don't want to be in here you thinking that, oh, I hate this car. No, I'm knocking some things that I think are legitimate points to knock. I will say, if you're asking me what the best part of this car is the fact that it is a top of the line, has every feature you'd pretty much think of, plenty of room for passengers or cargo. For me, the best feature of this is the fact that top of the line, with all this kind of space, a comfortable ride. This comes in at $58,000. To me, that's pretty awesome. So kudos to Honda for that. Next category I want to hit on is what song I think this is. And I'm going to take a little bit of a I'm going to explain this for a second, because it's not necessarily about the title, okay? The title does factor into it, but it's not entirely there. The song that I think this is Satisfaction Guaranteed, and that is by a band called The Firm. It's more about the band here, okay? So The Firm, if you're not familiar, is a band that were formed in the early 80s. I didn't know them when they came out, obviously, but found them in later years here. The interesting thing about The Firm is that their two biggest members are Jimmy Page on guitar and Paul Rodgers on lead vocals. The interesting thing about that is Paul Rodgers is from Foreigner and Jimmy Page is, of course, from Led Zeppelin. Now, my understanding is that when it came out, people immediately heard and they said, wow, Paul Rodgers and Jimmy Page together, two awesome bands uniting to make one band, you know, one great super band, super group, and didn't quite hit. You know, they disappointed. They released 2 albums. They think they were successful to a degree, but not as successful as people would have expected and were hoping for. Satisfaction Guaranteed is their biggest song, and the thing that's interesting about that is it's in retrospect a really good song. Like, the lyrics are really good, the music is great. Like, Jimmy Page really does a great job on the guitars. Paul Rodgers' vocals are on point. It's a really, really good song, I think. But people get lost on what it's not. Okay, and I think that you're seeing maybe a little bit more what I'm talking about with this song. They talk about, like, this song isn't Led Zeppelin. This isn't House is the Holy. You know, this isn't Paul Rodgers. This isn't Foreigner. And it's not. It's The Firm. And it's Satisfaction Guaranteed. And I do think that if you do consider that title, it does make sense. It is Satisfaction Guaranteed. They do a good job with it. It's a very good song. In a lot of ways, what I've just been talking about with the Pilot is I'm talking about what this isn't. And I don't know if that's necessarily fair. You know, this is a very good SUV. It's a really good family SUV. It's a very good value. It's, you know, the top of the line. I like what Honda did with the design. I want to say that. I like this black edition. But I think that there's some expectation of, you know, it's going to meet this. It's going to be this. It's going to be, you know, it's better than Elite. I mean, this is better than Elite in some ways. I mean, if you're looking for a different design, sure. I mean, basically, this is the Elite just with a different, you know, look and feel, which is fine. You know, it is what it is. It's fine. But I think there's a lot of harping about what this car isn't rather than what it is, in the same way with the firm. So that's what I think this car is. Satisfaction guaranteed by the firm.
The Honda Pilot specializes in a ride that is best described as uneventful. It isn't especially bumpy, but it's not as smooth a ride as you'd find in a luxury SUV like a Mercedes-Benz GLC or GLE. It also lacks the cornering capability of a BMW X5, but that's to be expected given it's not a luxury model. But you'll feel more bumps in the road than, say, in a Toyota Grand Highlander, for example. It's a pleasant ride here in the Pilot, but there are better options if you're looking for the smoothest ride possible. That said, the Pilot may very well give you the most value for your dollar in this class. If the biggest trade-off you have to make with this SUV is that it feels a tad less stable or bulkier when taking a turn or cornering, but you get tons of cargo and passenger space with all the bells and whistles at a really great price, that's a trade-off that most consumers would make. I'd probably make that trade-off myself. Uneventful is another good description of the Pilot's acceleration. It's not especially fast off the line, but it's not exactly slow off the line. It's fine. It never wants for power, and the 10-speed automatic transmission changes gears quickly. I may not be a fan of the transmission's physical layout, where you just change the gears with buttons, but the actual transmission operates really well. Brakes are a highlight as well, as they're strong but not grabby. Steering is accurate with enough feedback to provide the driver with a sense of the road. The seating is very comfortable with ample space to make long drives very pleasant. We took the Pilot on a long drive for a pretty long weekend where we had a sports tournament and we went on a family vacation afterwards, and honestly, we were able to fit everyone's gear in the back of the Pilot. Everybody was able to fit inside the Pilot very comfortably, so it's a great family hauler. My opinion is that the best three-row midsize SUVs for most people are the Kia Telluride, Hyundai Palisade, Toyota Highlander, and the Toyota Grand Highlander, the Mazda CX-90, and this car, the Honda Pilot. I think the 2025 Toyota 4Runner is likely to make my personal list, but that's not out yet, so we can't really judge that yet, now can we? Out of these top performers, I think the Pilot stacks up well no matter what you favor most, whether it's price, performance, or cargo space, or passenger space. The Telluride and CX-90 have slightly lower starting prices, but the Pilot isn't far off, and I think it's more comfortable than the Telluride. The CX-90 has better handling, but the Pilot has more space. The fact is that you can make a strong case that the Pilot is the best vehicle in this class because it's just such a good, solid vehicle. The only non-luxury three-row SUV I've enjoyed as much as the Pilot is the Grand Highlander, but it's a very close race, and honestly, my opinion can be swayed on any given day.
So that concludes our review for the week. I hope you found it useful. If you have any questions, please reach out to us. You can just respond here in the comments on YouTube. We're happy to answer any questions you might have on this vehicle or really anything else that's out there in the auto world. Please follow us on YouTube. If you haven't followed us on X, go ahead and do that as well. Our handle on YouTube is Vision Quest Auto, and on X, we're under Vision Quest A. So for Vision Quest Auto, this is Frank Nieto. See you around.